going to talk briefly about style of proceedings. They're also referred to as style of cause or just a style. You'll find this in chapter 4 of your textbook. So it's really important when you're creating your style of proceeding that you have an identical style of proceedings on every court document that you file for that file. If you have a typo, then the court registry is most likely going to reject your document, which is going to cause more time and money to get it properly filed. So you want to create a style one time, triple check it, have a fellow classmate, or when you're in practice, have a colleague look it over, and then use that same style every single time for every court document on that file. That's going to reduce your likelihood of having any typos or issues with your style of proceeding. If you're creating the notice of civil claim, then you want to make sure that you've got the most accurate party information available to you to put on there. So if you've got ID from your client, use that to put in their name. If you are creating any document other than the notice of civil claim, then it needs to be identical to the notice of civil claim. So if they didn't put a middle name on the notice of civil claim, you're not going to put a middle name in your document going forward. So you can't make any changes to the style of proceedings without a court order. So you do need to follow the notice of civil claim, with a few exceptions for making, like if you've got 100 parties, you can write et al. And other things that we'll show you. But as far as the spelling of parties' names, those need to stay the same and consistent with all of your court documents. So the way that I've done it here is I've just entered a couple extra spaces up here to make sure I have 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters on the left side. You do not need to create a box there. There are some boxes there in your precedent. That's just to remind you that you need 5 centimeters. You would not actually draw a box on your document. And the other thing to keep in mind is it's from the left side only. So you're not going to count this writing here because that's on the right side and it doesn't fall within that 5 centimeters to 5 centimeters. The other thing is don't look here for your 5 centimeters. That's too much because your document starts measuring from your margin, but the margin in this example is already 2.5 centimeters over. So I just need to go another 2.5 centimeters to get to my 5 centimeters. It goes when you're calculating your 5 centimeters from the edge of the page, not from your margin. So this gives me 5 centimeters down and then 5 centimeters across. So this I have, you want to make sure when you're formatting your style of cause, you don't have to do it one specific way, but it does have to be properly formatted. So you never want to be pressing on the space bar or your tabs to get something over to the right side of your page. You want to, in this case, I'm going to have it right aligned. If it was centered, then I would have to have a marker on my ruler. I'm going to have this centered. Between and are left aligned. So you can see that here. And then the names of the plaintiff and of the defendant can either be left aligned or they can be centered, but you do have to have equal margins, having them indented. So in this example, I have a 5.5 centimeter margin on or right indent on both sides of the party names. And then finally, you have plaintiff and defendant. So let's turn this into a table. Again, if you don't already have a strong preference for doing it this way, let's do a table, and that way it's less likely to have any issues when you copy and paste it into your other documents. So I'm going to insert a table, and I am going to do 3 columns and 16 rows. And again, there's more than one way of doing it. This is just the way I do it. Then I'm going to remove the border. You want to make sure you do see those grid lines. If you don't see them, then turn your grid lines on. Otherwise, it makes your table really hard to work with. So I'm going to start by putting the court information on the top left side. Then I'm going to skip a line. And I'm going to select that whole 3rd column. And I'm going to merge those cells. And then that way, when I want to center this, it'll be centered the whole way and not just in that one column. So center that. And then I'm going to skip a line, and then I need my between. And I'm going to have that left aligned. And then I would skip a line, and the next place would be for the parties, but I'm going to start by just making an empty precedent so that I don't have to do all of this work every time I go at it. So I like my markers to be really distinctive, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to center it, and then I'm going to move, highlight it, and then move this over so that when I do go ahead and add in the party information, it's all ready to go. So again, less work, less fidgeting. I'd have to do this one time. I set it and then I forget it. So that's going to be for the plaintiff. And then because again, I'm just starting off making this a general precedent, I am going to highlight plaintiff because I don't know if there's going to be multiple plaintiffs or not. So if there's only one plaintiff, I'm going to delete the S. If there's multiple plaintiffs, then I'm going to remove the S. And actually, I started off making this a specific one, so I'm going to just take that out and put markers in there so I remember that this is blank, and then when I want to fill in that information next time, I can do that. So we got plaintiffs, and I'm going to skip a line, and then I'm going to add in the and. And I'm going to left align that. And then I'm going to skip a line, and I'm going to change these columns to match the plaintiff so that the defendant and the plaintiffs are aligned the same way. And I'm just going to put another marker down there. Center that. So you can left align or center your party names. You just want to make sure that you do it consistent with both of them. Then I'm going to put defendant here, and then I'm going to put that optional S so I don't forget when I'm going through and putting in the actual party information that I've got it correct. Then you could add another line for the title of your document, or you can just have that starting below. So notice of civil claim. That could be included as part of it or excluded. I like to keep it excluded so that I can just copy and paste this whole table into each of my court documents and then put the title as it comes up. So I'll just finish this up and make it specific. So again, I would save this as my general precedent. I'd triple check and make sure I didn't have any typos there. And then I can save myself 5 minutes every time just by starting here. Then I just have to add in the information. If it's your notice of civil claim, you won't have a court number yet. So you would just leave a blank space. If it's any other court document, then you would get the court number off of your notice of civil claim because the courts will stamp it once it's filed with the number. And that same number needs to be put on every style of proceeding going forward. Then in this example, I've got a plaintiff who isn't capable of representing, not just representing themselves, but even giving instructions to a lawyer or giving instructions to anybody who wants to stand before the court. So they have a litigation guardian. So I'm going to capitalize the names of the parties only. So in this case, it's Snoopy Dog by his litigation guardian, Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown, as a litigation guardian, is not a party, so I don't capitalize that. However, Charlie Brown is also a plaintiff, so I'm going to add him and the said Charlie Brown. So he is there as a plaintiff, Snoopy Dog is a plaintiff, but it also indicates that Charlie Brown is going to be there speaking to the court on behalf of himself and on behalf of Snoopy Dog. And then we're going to put in the name of the defendant. And then and then I want to fix this. So we do have multiple plaintiffs. We have Snoopy Dog and Charlie Brown. So I'm going to remove the highlighting and keep the plural, but on defendants, we only have one defendant. So I'm just going to remove that. So now you should have your blank precedent that you saved that has no party information in it, and that'll be saved and that can be used on every single litigation file going forward. And now we have our precedent for this file only. So we want to save that as a separate document and then copy and paste that for every court document for that file. Again, saves you money, or sorry, saves you time, which does save you money. It also really drastically cuts down on the likelihood of this. The next time you prepare this, you have a typo and then your documents gets rejected by the registrar. We want to avoid that. So by triple checking it very carefully the first time and then just copying and pasting it to all other documents after that, we really reduce that likelihood. The last thing I'll note is that when you are copying and pasting it onto a document, make sure that whatever font and font size you've got in your style matches the font and font size in your new document. So here we've got Calabria. If your new document is Times, then you're going to have to change that to make sure that it's consistent on your new document. Thank you.